It's time we the people stand up for what is right. It's time to square the shoulders back and raise that swords to fight. For the Bible is our weapon, and the Spirit is our shield. For the church needs more rich members to be workers in the field. Step into the water, wade out a little bit deeper. Come join angels singing praises to the Lamb of God, to the Lamb of God, to the Lamb of God. Praises to the Lamb of God. For there is victory for the Christian who walks a narrow way. For there has been a price appointed for it, so it does not stray. For I want to live for Jesus and be all that I can be. For I want to rest with Him forever and live eternally. Step into the water, wade out a little bit deeper. Come join angels singing praises to the Lamb of God, to the Lamb of God, to the Lamb of God. Praises to the Lamb of God. We got so much to thank God for. A beautiful day. But you know, sometimes in life we're faced with many decisions. We're faced with many trials. We're faced with many obligations that sometimes make us miss out on the beauty of life. The trees blooming, for some like me, could even have a negative side whenever all the pollen and algae and all that stuff acting up. But the point being, they're still blooming. And that brings forth new life. That brings forth new decisions. That brings forth new horizons. It brings forth new victories. It brings forth many things. But no matter what we face in this life, God is stronger. Today's key verse can be found in 2 Chronicles 7:14. If my people, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face, and turn from the wicked ways, then will I hear them from heaven, and I will forgive their sin, and I will heal their land. God will forgive us. God will heal us. God will deliver us. God will set us free today, if His people will just call upon His name. And that's what God's wanting us to do today, is call upon His name. I have posted a few posts today on Facebook, because today hasn't been the greatest of days for me. As you can see, got a good view. I'm down here from my house. I've left the job site I was working at today to do my broadcast, eat something, take a shower here in a little bit, and then go back to work after the floor dries after the final coat. But as you can see, the trees here are coming in bloom. The flowers are in bloom. You have all these bees and all this kind of stuff that's out. And you have new life. But for some, the devil wants to remind you of an old life. And then you have people, and I'm trying to say this in a way that it won't sound worse than what it actually wanting it to sound like, but there's people today that are out to kill, to steal, and destroy, just like the devil. The devil wants to steal our joy. There's people out there today that want to steal your joy. They're not happy people, and they don't want you to be happy. And they will bring negativity into your life. And when you're around those type of people, negative thoughts begin to happen. Because in the power of our tongue, we have both power to speak both blessings and cursings upon our lives. We need to speak life and not death today. We need to speak victory and not defeat. We need to speak the positive and not the negatives. But there's people today that their sole goal and ambition is to get you to their level. So they will argue, they will complain. They will pretty much just make your life miserable. On a day that's not a very good weekend to begin with. For you all that don't know, and it's not because of the fact that I care, because I don't, because that part of my life is over, that chapter, that book is closed. That chapter of my life I'm over. But about once a year, I pretty much get to the point where I don't want to think about certain things. And that certain things is the divorce. But Friday, I was looking on the positive, and I posted something about it on Facebook. Let you know tomorrow's Derby Day. I got married on Derby Day, which I don't like the horses. I've been to the horse race, but I just didn't care too much for them. But the reason why I got married in May is because her family was very controlling. And her family said if I wanted to get married at my church, which I grew up in and went to for 20 years, that I would have to get married in May. If I wanted to get married in June or July, like I wanted to, no, I wanted to get married in January. Because nothing positive really happens to me in January. A lot of negative stuff's always happened in January. So I said I wanted something positive to happen. They said, well, if you get married in January, you have to get married at her church, which she's only been going to for 2 years. And I outweighed the positives and the negatives, and I chose to do what they wanted to do. So I bowed because I wanted to have it at my church I grew up at. And I always said whenever I got married, I'd always get married there. I also said it was always going to be forever, but it wasn't. But anyways, I went through that process. And the first year was awesome. The first year we dated was great. We dated for a year. We was engaged for a little bit, though, in between the year. But in between the engagement and that, we was together a year, and that was great. We was married the first year. It was great. Not so great with her family, because they caused a lot of problems, especially with my church. They would always plan things, and I'd always have to pretty much cave in, or she would just wouldn't come at all, because she would go to where they wanted her to go. But that's another story. But then her family caused a lot, and then I remember after the first year, things started to deliberate and start getting a whole lot worse, and went through a lot, and there was a lot of pain. The greatest thing about that second year was I lived in E-Town, about 40 miles from her family, so I didn't have to deal with them. So that was pretty much my favorite house I ever lived in, because I had to deal with them, because they was constantly causing problems, constantly trying to get us into it, constantly just anything. They even asked me at one point to write down when I was having church, because they said, well, when you tell us if you have church, we won't have planned nothing that day, because I kept on saying, why y'all plan everything when I have church? And then I wrote it down for them, and guess what? Everything they planned was on the days I had church. So, I mean, it was just a lot of things. And a lot of things I don't want to get into, too, that happened. But there was a lot of pain. And during this time of year, today would have been the anniversary. During this time of year, I'm not reminded of the good times. the short and very few there was. Most of the good times was in church services. I remember praying one day, and I didn't know what it was. I've read the Bible several times, front and back, doing the Bible study now, going cover to cover. So I've done my share of reading the Bible, but I never really thought about it, never really put two and two together, never heard of it happening. I've heard of it since, but didn't hear of it at that time. I was praying, and whenever I come to, there's these little white specks. It's happened 2 or 3 times after that. But I could see these little white specks all over the floors. Go outside, and, some people have dandruff. Sometimes I get dandruff because I use a lot of hairspray and stuff sometimes. So at first you think, well, maybe it's some white flakes of dandruff. But then I went outside, and there wasn't no. Because there couldn't have been. There's these little white flakes all over the parking lot. And I called up a preacher, and I said, can you explain this to me? And he said it's what the Bible called manna from heaven. And I was like, well, I know what that is, but I never really experienced it. So that was an awesome experience. And I'd sleep my wife at the time, and we didn't realize it till we had developed the pictures. But you could see, as I was looking up, you could see these little white things fall. It's on my Facebook page if you can find it. And then there was another experience. Well, there were several experiences at church. But there was one experience that really stands out. When they was putting up the sign, and I got a picture of it on Facebook as well. As they was putting up the sign, you look up in the sky, and the clouds look like it spells out Lord. I even had it enlarged, put in a frame and everything. After that happened, after we got developed. So God showed up several times, and God done a lot of miraculous things. But whenever you're going through a lot of things, and I'm saying all this today, kind of getting up close and personal with you, to tell you that, sometimes you go through a lot of things in life. And the devil ain't going to remind you of all those good times whenever he's wanting to attack you. And he'll use people to attack you. And it's been a battle pretty much all weekend. And finally, I just kind of broke down at one point today at work. And I just started talking to God. And that's what we need to do. When we get to the point of desperation, we need to call upon God. And I really wasn't sure what I was going to preach on today. I had no earthly idea. Did not know what verse I was going to go to. Did not know nothing. So I decided to just click on BibleGateway.com and look up a verse. And it says, again, if my people, which is called by my name, shall humble themselves and pray, and seek my face, and turn from the wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven, and will forgive their sin, and heal their land. 2 Chronicles 7:14. So that in itself is an awesome thing. And that talks about the power of God. Because when you go through things in your daily life, when you have moments of decisions, you can see verses such as that.